Hey, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Now, recently I did a video on the Shiver of the Vampires. This is a French film, released by Indicator, directed by Jean Rollin. Now, that video went a little too long. I think it went about 17 minutes, longer than I had intended it to, but I'm going to try to do this one quicker because we're going to talk about another Indicator release, also directed by Jean Rollin, Fascination. Now, in the comments below, I'm going to leave some links to these movies where you can purchase them. If you purchase them through the links, I might get a little money from it. We'll see. I'm also going to link some of the equipment I'm using to shoot this video with, where some lights and some lights, really. Maybe the camera, I don't know. But these Indicator releases, I was pretty impressed by them. I went ahead and got a few more, like the two Orphan Vampires and the Nude Vampire, which I haven't watched these yet, but I plan to. Hopefully in the near future. I might even do a video on them as well. We'll see how this one goes. Now, Fascination is probably Jean Rollin's most renowned film. Is one of his better ones from what I've read. I've only seen two of them. I did like it better than Shiver the Vampires. Not to throw any shade at Shiver the Vampires. Now, this is a 1979 horror film that kind of leans towards the vampire genre, but it's not completely like a traditional vampire story, and we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Now, on the cover of this movie, here's the way it's described. It says, Jean Rollin's decadent fantasy of sex and death. Now, there is some sex in the movie in this one. I know in Shiver the Vampires, I don't think there was any sex. There's a lot of nudity. There's also a lot of nudity in this one, but here you do have a lesbian sex scene, and you have a few other sex scenes other than that. But there is a lot of nudity in this film, so if that's not something I guess if you're going to watch this, prepare yourself, because that's what you're going to see. Lots of nudity. Mostly women, but, there's not like a lot of male nudity, other than like, they're nude. You might see some butts or whatever, but that's about all you're going to see. Now, this is about the first time watching this movie, and when I first put this in, I was planning to watch it in a couple of sittings. I was going to go to sleep probably about halfway through, but as I was watching it, it was just so bizarre, and I just didn't exactly know what was going to happen next, that I just kept watching it. I watched it all in one sitting pretty much. It's very... Fascination is fascinating to me anyway. As far as the plot, what happens... It is a very artsy. And before I get into the plot, I want to talk about the very beginning, like a few shots at the beginning. It's a very artistic type of movie. Now, the first scene you have is this lady's hand flipping through this old book, very reminiscent of like an older Dracula type of book, or something like from the older Universal type of movie. So it kind of has a very gothic sensibility to it right from the front. And then after that, you see this very interesting shot, kind of high angle, these two women on this bridge dancing. It's a bridge outside of the house that you see later in the movie, but they're standing over this bridge that's with water flowing beneath it. Here in 4K, that water flowing beneath them looks amazing. A lot of detail in the water, and it's a very artistic, very cool shot. After that, the next scene, you see some aristocratic women go into this slaughterhouse where they're given ox blood to drink to help with anemia, and that kind of leads into the main plot of the movie. This takes place in 1905 or 1906, early 1900s, and there's a guy who's part of this gang. I guess he's kind of a dandy, and he's dressed in a striped red suit, and it's like a kind of a dull red. He's also got a really red vest on under it, but it looks very, especially here in 4K, it pops very well, and it's a very interesting choice for his wardrobe. But he's part of this gang. They got some gold coins, and he ends up deceiving his other gang members and running. He takes there's a girl with him, and he takes her kind of hostage for a little bit. Then he lets her go, but then the other gang members are coming after him to kill him and get the gold back that he has. And then he ends up at this mansion where that bridge we were talking about earlier. He goes across the bridge and goes into this mansion where these two weird women, very mysterious women, are living there, who are also, I guess they're bisexual, because they do have sex with each other, but then they are also wanting to have sex with him. It's a very odd thing. But then there's something weird going on with that. He's kind of trapped in the house with them, but he's kind of got them hostage. But then his other his former associates, they've got the house surrounded, but they can't exactly come in, and that's kind of how that's kind of how the setup goes. And it is a very surreal, and some of this movie almost has some dream logic to it. So let's take a look at the inside of this and what we got. So here again, it just says Fascination on it, just like the outside. There's the you get the lesbian lovers down here in the corner, and in the inside, again, we got an upside down disc. Now there's only a 4K disc here. There's not a Blu-ray for this one. The Indicator doesn't have a Blu-ray option for Fascination, I don't think, but you can also get it. I did see another option for if you want a Blu-ray rather than the 4K, if you don't have a 4K player. But we're going to talk a little bit about the 4K in just a minute, but it's quite impressive for this movie. And there's also a booklet here. Now I looked through the booklet already some, and there's some interviews and so there's a pretty good bit of pictures. It's a good read. Now I do want to mention this scene, which is also depicted on the front cover. Now this is, to me, is the best scene of the film. Like, one of these two women, the blonde here, turns out to be kind of a badass with this sai. She picks it up and she kind of goes on a killing like rampage at some point in the movie, and it happens about. It's not the climax of the movie. It happens a little bit before the climax, probably about 45 minutes in. So it's a pretty cool. And that's kind of how it's structured in a way. Like, it's very, up until that point, there's not necessarily that much happening, but then that happens, and then another twist happens after that. So let's talk a little bit about the 4K transfer. I'm going to read some of this. This is brand new 4K restoration from the original series negative by Powerhouse Films. So this was taken. It is a restoration, and it is taken from the original negative. And I was fairly impressed with it. It looked very clean to me. There's a lot of detail, especially in this is a very artistic film anyway. So like, there's a lot of cool shots, and I think I didn't notice a lot of film grain. It looked very, very clean, especially for this is 1979 movie. It looked. A lot of clarity. I thought the sharpness was there. I didn't see anything that was really like kind of soft focus or anything to that nature. So I was fairly impressed with the 4K transfer overall, and I think it's probably the way to go. From what I've read, I hadn't seen the Blu-ray because this is the first time I've seen it, but what I've read, this is a big jump from the Blu-ray transfer. So if you've seen this movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, if you'd like this video, and subscribe. I'm Dave Watkins. Thanks for watching.